Okay, so let's talk some of this free agency stuff with the Cleveland Browns when it comes to possible free agent wide receiver targets. Now, forgive me if any of this becomes out of date soon. I tried to record things a little bit before 10, but let's try to get into it. Now, what I wanted to look at here, as far as wide receivers go, is we have to kind of think about where the Browns are cap wise and where that leaves them when it comes to room to get wide receivers, and also where they are right now in their current form of their team. Now, what I mean by cap wise is the reports are they're keeping Austin Hooper, so you're committing $22 million to tight end. I don't think that you're going to exceed more than like $32 million for all your pass catchers combined. Like, at least that's going to be the main bulk number. You might go a little bit over that, but $35 million for pass catchers, I think that's probably where you're going to end up at. So it doesn't leave a lot of room for a ton of deals here, so the Browns are going to have to get creative. Now, where do I think the Browns can attack when it comes to free agency, when it comes to wide receivers? Now, I know there's a lot of negativity towards what wide receivers the Browns can get there, and look, the Browns have a uphill battle to fight when it comes to trying to get wide receivers to sign here, because the wide receiver production just hasn't been great, at least the last year, and it's not like the Browns quarterback is anybody who's going to be attracting wide receivers to want to play for them. That's just the reality of the situation we live in. And when that's the case, you kind of have to alter your strategy. And what I think that strategy is going to alter to is, you could get Amari Cooper, right? But I just don't think that's going to happen, right? The Browns don't have the money. They don't really seem to be in the place to where they want to give multiple years to a wide receiver, given that they don't have a quarterback under contract for multiple years right now. And also, I don't think Amari Cooper's going to want to go long-term to this situation. I think you're going to get a lot of one-year deals at the wide receiving position. You got to think of wide receivers who might have had a down year, who are still in the contract year, that want to re-enter free agency fast. And the first guy I have on this list that could be a possible target is Allen Robinson. Now, look, I'm not a big fan of Allen Robinson, but he's probably going to be the most productive wide receiver on this list when it comes to overall numbers. I've been on record about how I feel about those numbers. I feel like a lot of those stats are full of empty calories, that they're not really as productive as those numbers make it seem. But at the end of the day, Allen Robinson would be the lone wide receiver number one that you can get that will be respected as a wide receiver number one by defenses, which the Browns just don't have flat out right now. So that would be the reason to get him. What it would cost to get Allen Robinson, I would say anywhere between 1 year $8 million to 1 year $10 million would probably get him here on a 1 year deal, so he can re-enter free agency as fast as possible and try to get the big deal that he probably would have gotten last year if he did not get franchise tagged by the Bears. And again, the Browns situation is going to be a situation when it comes to players trying to avoid a franchise tag that's going to be a little bit appealing, because you're going to look at this Browns roster, you're going to see Denzel Ward coming up, and you're going to see Baker Mayfield coming up. So let's say Baker has a good year. If you're Allen Robinson, you know for a fact they ain't using that franchise tag on you, because if Baker has a good year, he will get franchise tagged. And if you're, or if Denzel Ward, right, he's going to be another one who's going to eat up the franchise tag. So the franchise tag's not going to really be in use here. Again, this is going to be a situation to where a player can get back into free agency as soon as possible, get some money for this year, but get back out there in the market after bouncing their value up. Allen Robinson had terrible production this year, so he's going to be looking to bounce that production back up. The next guy, and look, I have seen so much hostility towards this guy, and I get it. He's a former Steeler. He's one of the more popular former Steelers, and he was known for doing TikTok dances for a while there, but he's actually a really solid receiver, and it's Juju Smith-Schuster. And again, he's around that same price range. I would say a little bit less than Allen Robinson, right? I think you can go anywhere from 1 year $6 million to 1 year about $9 million with him. You're probably going to end up at 1 year $8 million if you want to get Juju Smith-Schuster. And look, what I'm about to say about Juju Smith-Schuster is going to be unpopular to Browns fans, but it's going to be true about Juju Smith-Schuster. And the real about Juju Smith-Schuster is that if you're looking for somebody to replace Jarvis Landry's skill set as a football player, there's really no better replacement than Juju Smith-Schuster at the money that you can get him. Again, it's not going to be something popular. I don't think a lot of Browns fans are accustomed to really looking at the positives when it comes to Juju Smith-Schuster, and they have not been in a situation where they could appreciate the positives that Juju Smith-Schuster brings. But the reality of Juju is that he's a really physical, really tough receiver who is an excellent run blocker. He is all of those things. Jarvis is similarly most of those things. He's sure-handed. He excels underneath and in those yak routes. He can be an occasional Z, even though you don't want him there all the time. He can live out there if you need to put him out there, similar to Jarvis Landry, right? That inside-outside versatility. And he's a perfect fit for the Browns offense. Now, whether you think he's going to have problems because he likes to TikTok or whatever, I think that's hilariously overblown at this point. The Steelers' issues in that wide receiver room were a lot deeper than Juju Smith-Schuster, and it showed this year. He didn't really have nothing to do with that. He didn't play this year. And ultimately, this is a player who's a good fit for this team, whose teammates seem to like him. And I think that makes the argument for him, right? He's going to be a helpful piece to help this team win right now, and he's a guy you can get for relatively cheap on a one-year deal. Now, if Juju wants to come here, that's another question. Same thing with Allen Robinson, right? Same thing with almost every guy on this list. You can make the argument. It's going to be an argument that's not going to supersede a lot of other ones, so you might have to bump up the money just a little bit just to secure him. But I would not be upset if the Browns brought in Juju on a one-year deal. I think that would be actually one of the better deals that you can make out here in free agency. Again, it won't be a long-term thing. I don't think this would turn into a long-term thing. I think both sides just kind of want to get in, get out, get back into free agency. But it's a solution, right? DJ Chark is the next guy on this list. Now, DJ Chark, again, down year in a contract year, but he's a proven deep threat that wants to re-enter free agency as soon as possible. I think he's 25 years old. So this is a dude who wants to get back into the market as fast as he can, so he can have a bounce back year. Again, he would be a massive upgrade over what Anthony Schwartz can offer. When you look at what the Browns ask their deep threats to do, is just be deep threats, get open down the field, and just catch the ball. That's kind of what DJ Chark does well. You're not asking him to do a lot of other complicated stuff. You're not asking him to run a full route tree. You're just asking him to trying to just be a deep threat. And I think he is well equipped to be that. What it would cost for DJ Chark, probably, in that similar range, right? 1 year, $7 million would probably get him if you really wanted him. Maybe you have to go up to 8, considering your circumstances. But again, a 1-year deal for DJ Chark. Get in, get out, let him get back to free agency, fill your need right now, and you will fill your need at least with the X wide receiver position. Now, the next guy kind of fills a similar role at a similar number is Will Fuller. We know that Will Fuller is an elite deep threat. You have questions about his ability to consistently catch the ball. That's been the question with him throughout his career. He's been a streaky catcher of the football at times, so that's a little bit of a concern, but he is an elite deep threat. He has absolutely all of the deep speed that you need to get open. He will get open. The question is, will he catch the ball if he gets open, or is he a acrobatic enough wide receiver to adjust to the ball if the ball is thrown a little bit off, right? We know with Baker Mayfield, sometimes that ball is a little bit off. We need somebody who can adjust to it. DJ Chark would probably be better for that because he's more of an acrobatic wide receiver, even though you're sacrificing a little bit of speed there. Will Fuller, you're getting all the speed, but he can't adjust as much. He's not as good as a catcher of the football, but if you can't get DJ Chark, you might want to get Will Fuller. And again, the wide receivers you're going to be looking at are the wide receivers who might expect a long-term deal, a big money long-term deal from teams that towards the end of free agency, I'm not even talking like day 3 of free agency. I'm talking about like as we get closer to camp, just need to sign somewhere, 1-year deal situation. Think of the Clowney situation the last couple of years. This is the situation that the Browns are going to be in on the offensive side of the ball with the wide receivers. All right, the next guy is Jamison Crowder. Now, I don't know if a lot of you know who Jamison Crowder is, but he's a long-term wide receiver for like the New York Jets. He's just a reliable third down hand, right? Like his game is pretty similar to like a Hunter Renfrow or a I'm forgetting the name, Edelman, Julian Edelman. He's not as good as those two guys, but he's just a reliable hand, steady guy. Kind of reminds me a little bit of a bigger Andrew Hawkins. Not a guy who's going to kill you with a bunch of speed or quickness or anything like that. He's not going to be the greatest yak guy in the world, but again, on third down, you just need a guy to get the ball to. He can be that guy to get the ball to and get a first down. So Jamison Crowder, again, he's a veteran. He's going to be 29 years old, so a young veteran that you could bring into that room to help whoever you draft out. Also, a guy who could be reliable on third down and be that slot option, and I think he would thrive well in a system like the Cleveland Browns where you're asked to run a lot of shorter routes, where you're asked to block a lot, and where a wide receiver's job is not just going to be about what his route tree is about, but what he can do outside of that. And I think Jamison Crowder offers a lot in that. And I think if you can't get Juju SmithSchuster, which is a reality, maybe you can get Jamison Crowder and it won't be as expensive, right? You might be able to get Jamison at 1 year, $5 million. And I think that would be fine. Another guy, another veteran you might be able to get cheap is Emmanuel Sanders, right? And this is another dude. I don't know if he takes a 1 year deal, but he's at that point to where 1 year deals are going to be about what he gets offered. I would probably go 1 year, $4 million or maybe $3.5 million with him, but you can probably go all the way up to 5 if that's like one of the few guys you can get. Again, Emmanuel Sanders, he's not going to blow the world up. He's not going to be the greatest wide receiver you've ever seen, but he's a guy who can get open, get a first down if needed, and help move the chains and help be an asset to a young wide receiving room. But there it is. Those are the wide receivers I think the Browns are gonna or should take a look at. A lot of interesting names here. Again, I want to caution fans because I see a lot of excitement, or not a lot of excitement, but a lot of hope that the Browns are going to try and swing big at some wide receivers in free agency, or maybe swing big at some wide receivers in the draft. And again, we'll figure out where the Browns front office lies on this, because we truly don't know, because they haven't had to address the wide receiver position since Andrew Berry and company have gotten here. But there's nothing that would suggest, especially with them holding on to Austin Hooper in his franchise, well, not his franchise tag, but in that final year of his deal, even though he's going to cost a ton of money to keep, and make that tight end room number go up to about $22 million. There's nothing to suggest that the Browns are going to go all in, especially in free agency at the wide receiver position. And there's not really that much to suggest that they're going to go all in the draft at wide receiver. They're valuing tight end. They're putting the money in tight end. Again, money speaks volumes in the NFL, and that's where the money is, at tight end. So the Browns are probably going to run a ton of tight ends out there. If that's the case, maybe they feel like they can go out and get a Juju Smith-Schuster or get an Emmanuel Sanders or Jamison Crowder, and then maybe get a rookie in the third round, and that's going to be it for this year, and they'll figure out the other stuff next year. Maybe they feel like wide receiver is not a high priority when it comes to where they need to allocate talent, and maybe it's one of the more replaceable positions in their plan. That could be the case as well. There's not a wrong answer. There's more than one right way to build a football team. I know a lot of people see the Bengals and go, oh, everybody needs to do that. But the Bengals weren't really following the blueprint when they did that. So it would be ridiculous to assume that that's the only blueprint that can win, right? But it's something that I want to caution people, because I don't want people to see the Browns not go after all of these names that we've been hyping up at wide receiver, and then ultimately be dejected because of that, when I don't think they were really ever planning to go all in on wide receiver this year, especially, again, when going all in on wide receiver might include giving wide receivers long-term deals. And when you don't have a quarterback under a long-term deal, a lot of teams just aren't going to be comfortable giving wide receivers long-term deals if that position is uncertain. And right now that position is uncertain for the Cleveland Browns, because, again, we have a quarterback in his contract year. So all of those things make me think that these 1 year deals and these 1 year deal players are going to be what's most attractive to the Cleveland Browns in their current situation. But let me know what you think down in the comment section below. But again, guys, thank you for watching. Have a great day. Have a good night.